We all know the 6 minutes to six pack scams, but are you still following outdated fitness advice that's holding you back? Well, in this video, I'm breaking down and I'm ranking 5 outdated fitness habits that are wrecking your results. And I'm doing it with insights from some of YouTube's top fitness experts, so you can finally get lean without the gym bro routine. Now, we've got the House of Hypertrophy, and we're going to rank these takes from all the way at the bottom, that gym bro noise tier, to all the way to the top, the undeniable winners. So you know exactly what works and what does not. And these guys just dropped this knowledge bomb that will change the way you work out forever.
This 2013 analysis of 127 competitive bodybuilders reported the majority trained each muscle only once per week.
Because everywhere you look right now, from Jeff Nippard to Jeremy Ether, the science guys have all distanced themselves from the gym bro one body part per day split. They called it outdated bro science, and they swear by full body workouts or these complicated split routines. But does the latest research actually back that up?
Here's the relationship between training frequency and muscle hypertrophy found. There's no consistent or large effect of frequency. There's an increase going from 0 to a frequency of once per week, which isn't that shocking as 0 times per week isn't training at all.
And there it is. The only real difference in training frequency is between training 0 times per week and once per week. Because, surprise, surprise, 0 is not training at all. So would you believe it? The 1970s gym bros were actually right. If you train the same number of sets per week, it doesn't matter whether you train all 10 sets for your chest on Monday, or if you spread those 10 sets across Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Exact same results. And this right here is gold for those of us who do not want fitness to take over our entire life. Because now we know for sure, it does not matter what our schedule looks like. Even if we only have one day to train this week, we're not inconsistent just because the science gym bros say so. Because consistency is not about training 5 days per week in the gym, or hitting every muscle group on a magical number of days per week. It's just about total weekly volume. So who would have guessed it? A W for the old school gym bros. Not something you see on this channel very often, but when it comes to real workouts flexibility, this is not just a win, this is undeniable winner tier. Now we're on to Kino Body, and he's got a bone to pick with someone.
And one of my mom's friends was like talking to me, Gregory, like, how do you get the motivation to work out? Where'd it come from?
Alright, we can tell he might still be a little bit sensitive about this experience here, but let's hear him out.
We have the power to train, to build muscle, to get leaner, to get stronger, to be healthier, to have more energy. And you don't want to dedicate 30 minutes, 60 minutes to getting massive benefits? What? Like how do you not work out?
It sounds great on the surface, right? But here's the issue. People do not always see the benefits that he is listing out. You see, even when you do follow the gym bro plans, and you do show up consistently, sometimes it's just no muscle built, because the exercise programming is built for genetic freaks who respond and grow from pretty much anything. You're not visibly leaner, because you're copying guys that stay shredded all year round without even tracking a single calorie. And you do not have more energy. You actually have less, because your physiology cannot handle the volume and intensity that the gym bros recover from effortlessly. And then what happens? That reinforcement, it actually works in the opposite direction. Because if you don't actually see any visible progress, how can you stay motivated to be consistent with workouts? So here's a 2-step framework to ensure consistent gains no matter your genetics. 1. Your body only adapts if it perceives a real reason to. So ask yourself, is the target muscle actually the failure point before the set ends? And here's how to test it. First, complete your prescribed sets, then attempt one more bonus set. Now, did you fall within the original rep range? If so, you haven't taken the target muscles to true failure. Or did you fail within fewer reps than the original rep range? Perfect then, you've taken the target's muscle to true muscular failure. But that's only half the equation. Step 2 is recovery capacity. Now, are you actually adapting, or are you just breaking down and then healing back to baseline? Because muscle grows during recovery, not during training. So track these key metrics. 1. Heart rate variability. Low HRV, you're overstressed, so make your training restorative with some mobility. High HRV, you're primed to train, to get after it and grow. 2. Resting heart rate trends. Is it slowly rising over time? Well, that's chronic fatigue creeping in, which is an absolute killer for gains. 3. Sleep consistency. One bad night, it's no big deal, but a pattern of poor sleep, your gains will suffer and you will not grow or adapt at all. I have seen too many people quit working out, copying a gym bro's routine and getting no results, and then blaming themselves for not training hard enough. So it's a gym bro noise tier for this. And now for Kino Body, let's spin the wheel of gym bro justice. Boom! Gym bro explode. So, no more Kino Body shouting at his mum's friends. Gone. And if you're struggling to get lean or you're frustrated at your lack of results, every week I block out 2 hours in my calendar for 10-minute calls, just to help my YouTube viewers fix their fitness plans. No strings, just straight up advice. You cannot sign up for coaching on the call. The call is purely to get you unstuck. So if that's what you need to start making real visible progress, it's first come, first serve. So click the link in the description to find out more. Now we've got the Peterson carnivores on the lion diet, showing us how to get shredded fast.
Well, I've only been eating meat for beef fundamentally for almost 5 years now. So for me, I lost 52 pounds in 7 months. I went from 212 pounds to 165, and I've maintained that weight since.
Whoa, that is life-changing, right? But that's the only message people tend to hear when this lion diet comes up, and the parts they don't hear.
The lion diet also is supposed to be an elimination diet to see what foods are causing reactions for you. Ideally, you can reintroduce foods after you do it and pinpoint what's causing issues. For me, it's still everything. But for lots of people, they don't stay on the lion diet after identifying the problematic foods.
And this is exactly what people know deep down, but they ignore it. Yes, if you've got food sensitivities, then resetting your guts with the lion diet can be a game changer. But usually you only hear about the lion diet in the context of rapid weight loss because, shocker, eating only meat. For most people, that ends up in a massive calorie deficit every day. But there's a gigantic, glaring, undeniable missing piece: fiber from fruits and veggies. Suddenly now, that's unnecessary. But here is what the research actually says. 1. Soluble fiber. It fuels your gut microbiome, which is a master regulator of systemic insulin sensitivity. So without soluble fiber to feed the diversity in your gut microbiome, suddenly nutrient partitioning tanks, making it way harder to actually mobilize fat and get lean. 2. Insoluble fiber simply speeds up digestion time, meaning toxic food compounds from things like grilling, which form heterocyclic amines, spend less time in your system. And 3. High fiber diets equal lower mortality, lower cancer rates, and lower heart disease risk. It's no coincidence that both Jordan and Michaela need to be on this lion diet permanently. Genetics. But for 99.9% of people, it's a reset and intervention. And that is why it's landing in the use with caution tier. Now we've got an interesting disagreement between two bald heavyweight doctors of exercise physiology.
There are things that will cause a lot of soreness that won't necessarily cause a lot of growth.
Like what?
Like doing a new exercise or...
I disagree. I think novelty is time tested for promoting growth. That's the single variable that explains why untrained lifters grow much more than trained lifters. What is it other than novelty?
Interesting, right? We always hear the bros shouting about compound lifts. You just need to squat, deadlift, and bench, bro. And look, it's not wrong, but that does not mean that it's the only way. So here's Mike to blow Pac's bubble.
If we go now and play football, soccer, and we run for like 10 minutes, I will be insanely sore the next day. My lower body, my adductors, quads, hamstrings.
They're growing.
Are they?
A ton. We have direct research that shows in the early phase of aerobic conditioning training, you get as good of growth as you do in the early phase of resistance training.
Did you see Pac's face? Pure shock and horror. And this right here, this is the difference between sitting in a lab and running studies versus training people in real life. Because here is what Mike is actually getting at. Your body, it adapts to anything physical. Jumping around, your body is adapting. Or lifting 200 pounds, your body is adapting. But the gym bros love that one-dimensional version of progressive overload because it's just so easy to track. Bar has 200 pounds this week. Bar has 205 pounds next week. Me lift more, so me grow more. And yeah, that is one way. But here's a short list of more novel ways to stimulate muscle adaptation like Mike was getting at. Because the reason soccer doesn't keep growing your legs forever is because you've already adapted. Your body no longer needs more muscle to handle the soccer stimulus. But if it did, you'd grow. So what is the big takeaway here? You can still stimulate muscle growth by mixing up your workouts with 1. Different modalities like calisthenics or plyometric training. 2. Underrated exercises that most people ignore. 3. Alternative progressive overload methods that are not just adding weight. And 4. Intensity techniques that push you past your limits. You do not have to keep piling weight on the bar just to see progress. This gym bro BS of sticking to the same exercises and just adding weight forever, straight into the gym bro noise tier. We do not all want to squat, deadlift, and bench forever. And guess what? We are not going to. So let's spin the wheel of gym bro justice. And this gym bro silenced. Dr. Pac's BS never to be heard again. You're welcome. And if you're new here, my name is Tim. I'm a food scientist and personal trainer, now based in Austin, Texas. I specialize in helping guys hit 10 to 15% body fat without letting fitness take over their life. So if you want to get fit, look fit, and still have a life outside of the gym, you're in the right place. And if you're getting value from this video and you want to see more, then go ahead and subscribe. So now it's my turn, and I've got a controversial one. But here's where I'm about to blow your mind. This study, it took 2 groups of people and put them on the exact same diet, which put them all in a 30% calorie surplus. But one group trained fasted, and the other group, they trained fed, and they all followed their plan for 6 weeks. And guess what? The fed group, they gained fat, as expected due to the calorie surplus, an average of 3 pounds of fat gained per person. But the group that trained fasted did not gain any weight. But wait, aren't they both in a calorie surplus? This is yet just another example of why just looking at calories in, calories out is not the full story. And here's why. The fasted training group, group had a 28% increase in muscle GLUT4 activation. And GLUT4 is what pulls glucose from your blood and shuttles it into muscle to be used for energy. So more GLUT4 equals better nutrient partitioning and less fat storage. Plus, the fasted training group saw a 25% increase in AMPK phosphorylation. Now, AMPK is the body's energy sensor, and it tells your brain, yo, we're in a deficit, so you gotta pull from fats for that stored energy. But like most things in biology, it's more of a dimmer switch, it's not an on-off switch. So a 25% increase in AMPK, that is 25% more fats being used for fuel. And these two combined, they equal body recomposition magic. So even in a calorie surplus, the fasted group was just better at fuel partitioning. Instead of just storing excess calories as fat, they sent nutrients where the body actually needed them. This effect, it does not last forever. It's likely most powerful when starting a new plan. But if you are getting started, adding fasted exercise can put you in that optimal metabolic health state and kickstart that body recomposition. And that's exactly why this goes into the strong contender tier. And for more coaching tips, watch my video here.